Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Murph, and we're here to talk about some more Marvel Strike Force, Marvel blah 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 blah, Marvel Strike Force, free to play, early to mid game player content. And I know it's been a minute since I put out some videos. I just want to kind of let you guys know, like I've been balancing two Marvel Strike Force accounts, one Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes account. World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King Classic just dropped like almost a month ago now, and I went on a 5 day vacation, and trying to balance all of that with work and everything else has just been a fucking blur to me the last month. So my allergies are also killing me today. So I apologize. I'm gonna try to do my best not to sniffle into this microphone here, but um, yeah, I I do want to put out more content. I've been slacking. I've been overwhelmed with just all the shit going on lately. So my apologies for that. But we're back, and I kind of want to give you like a roadmap ahead for both the channel and for this account today, because it's been a kind of a minute since we've updated a lot of our goals, updated kind of the trajectory of like the content I'm going to be covering in the near future, and yeah, yeah, that's all I had to say about that. My fucking I was up till like 1 in the morning last night volunteering security at Shinedown concert for like a volunteer event so our unit could raise some money for a Christmas party. And I'm all over the place. I'm on fucking allergy meds now, so the antihistamines and the coffee are just kind of like crossing wavelengths, and I'm like tired and loopy but fucking also caffeinated. I don't know what is life. Okay, so I put out some famine scourge videos. I hope they helped you guys out. I did horrible in the famine event, and personally, it wasn't because I had the wrong characters built for that scourge, in my opinion at least. It's because I was way behind the ISO 8 curve on most of these characters. Now, my mutants were definitely kind of my Achilles heel during this push, as well as my mutant or my villains took a little bit of investment to get up there. But really, like, I had a lot of these characters outside of my web warriors, outside of most of these villains, and outside of my heroes guardians. I had most of these. I mean, you can even see Hela is still like ISO 1 level 3. Heimdall, it has no ISO investment. I don't even think I pulled him in to use him, quite frankly. um and my villains roster is still quite thin, so I had to pull Doctor Strange Heartless into my villains roster instead of into my Cosmic Mystic, and that caused him to go into Cosmic Mystic, missing a lot of health, abilities on cooldown, all that. And I really struggled with it. And I still maintain that I think these minus Beast, obviously, we can replace him. Um, Spoiler update: I did unlock Rogue this time around. We're currently working on building her, and we'll get into that in a little bit here in the video. But the only reason I was able to unlock Rogue this first time around was because this account was around during the first iteration of Famine. I think I was barely level 60 at the time, so I was able to get into the leaderboard rings and get those 40 shards the first time around. So in essence, if this would have been my first go around of the Famine Scourge, I think I would have missed her by like 10 or 15 shards. So uh definitely the ISO 8 is what held me back, because I really didn't improve a whole lot of gear, like up to level or gear 14 rather during the actual Scourge. I think I got a couple of my X-Men characters up to try to, fill in for the fact I really only had 4 usable characters there. Um but aside from that, like, it was really just the ISO that was holding me back. All the characters didn't have that bonus health, the bonus damage, or anything else like that, and they were just getting plowed through. So with Famine over, what I want to kind of cover in this video is like, where do we shift our priorities now? What do we do? So what I want to come back over to is this. This is like the first video I ever put on this channel is my tier list for like the meta, right? So um, this is the current apocalypse meta and what we're looking at. And I made this spreadsheet here for kind of like the meta that I'm looking at as a early to free to play character, right? And to sum it all up, basically the difference between these two is really just these top, right? All right, fuck it. Let me just dive into this real quick, right? So the apocalypse meta, you have to have your 4 horseman teams at gear 15 or 17 to unlock or max apocalypse accordingly. Now, in order to unlock these teams, you need your scourge teams, which are these teams here, as well as a bunch of other different teams with traits, right? So this second tier is all the characters for your nodes 5 and 10. In order to push past it, there are other strats out there. But as an early to mid game player, you really don't have the collection power, or you really can't hit those specific like gear points you have to hit in order to do like a difficulty 8 run and just do the first 4 nodes and bypass the node 5 and 10 requirements. So, when you're looking at an account that's under like I'd say level 80, if you're 75 and under, you're at that gear 14 tier, you need to be building these scourge teams. Now, not all of them, but you need to be building some for each scourge. So that's why they're the second tier. The third tier is more or less our raid teams for the most part, and just other somewhat meta teams that we can use. We can probably actually kick Infinity Watch down here. I will be updating this, but anyways, this is the meta, and kind of what I wanted to say with these first 2 videos I put out, I think back in August or September, was that this is a more realistic view of the meta for an early to free to play player, or early to mid game free to play player. You want to be building these scourge teams up, and they're your priority, because if you cannot build these teams up, you will not be unlocking your horseman teams, right? And then obviously, kind of like a secondary thing is making sure you're staying on top of these monthly milestones with the character releases, so you get all these supporting casts for those horseman characters. Now, what I would say right now, looking at this events calendar, I've covered it a few times in this channel. This is I've kind of, as like a side hobby, started tracking like the time in between all these events, and I've definitely slipped up the last few months, as you can tell here. But for the scourges specifically, um, what I did was I looked at all these legendary events and all these monthly events, and there's a typical cadence of 36 days in between each event, right? So, or let me take that back. For the actual monthly events, there's about 28 days, like consistently between each event. So, the Back to Boot Camp, your Block Party, your Chaos Theory, those all follow a specific cadence of release. And other similar games to Marvel Strike Force, like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, back in the day before they established what is called the Journey Guides now, which essentially the Journey Guides, you can go to any legendary event character. Like the comparison with MSF would be like your Jubilee events, your Adam Warlock, Ebony Maw, Omega Red, Black Bolt, and Phoenix. All those legendary characters that only come around, every so often for their events. Back in the day in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, they followed the same release event. So it was like once every 30 days or something, and it followed a specific cadence. And I'm not a game developer, I'm not a coder, but I assume that the reason for that was just simplicity of creating the code for the game, right? You just establish a specific cadence of releases for those events. So every 30 days or every 36 days or whatever the number of days input is in that model is when that event comes back around. So you don't have to worry about scheduling it or worrying about it. You just create the event, you put the days in, and then boom, it comes back around that many days. Anyways, Scourges. Following that same logic, I was able to look through most of these legendary events, and they do follow the same cadence, as well as most of these ones as well. So it's like 28 days for each of your Block Party, Chaos Theory, Payday, Nowhere Heist, Relicon. Those events come out every 28 days. Your legendary events, I don't recall if I was able to find it, but I think like 71 days. I wasn't following it closely enough to really find a time for it, but using that same logic with the regular monthly events here and the way Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes operated, I kind of figured, well, these scourges are probably going to be coming around on that same cadence, or on its own cadence rather, but on a cadence. So if we look at it, the first run of Pestilence was 13 April 22. The second run was 27 July 2022. There was 105 days in between the beginning of the Pestilence Scourge and the end of the second run of the Pestilence Scourge. Using that, I was able to look at the Famine Scourge, which the Famine Scourge came out 6 July. You add 105 days to that, and you get 13 October 2022. And I nailed that guess, like 100%. That calculation paid off. That was the end date of the second Famine Scourge started 13. I think if I remember right, the 105 days was 18 October, which was the last day of the event. So I may have messed up the actual timing of mapping that out, but regardless, this 105 days was an accurate guess and an estimation of when that second run of Famine came out. So we were able to predict that a month or two ahead of that. Using that same logic, the War Scourge came out 20 September 2022. You add 105 days to that, and you get January 3rd, which means that the second run of the War Scourge, which will end with the addition of the War Saga, is going to be coming around January 3rd. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, the other thing I was looking at was that the days between Pestilence coming out and Famine coming out was 84 days. The days between Famine and the War Scourge coming out, I believe, was also 84 days. Let's see here real quick. I'll literally do the calculation right here. So if we do War Scourge date minus Famine date, numbers, where are we at? So 76 days. Okay. And this is, yeah. Okay, so we got 84 days between the pestilence and the famine scourge, and we got 76 days between the war and the death, or the war and the famine scourge. So if we try to guess when this death scourge is going to come out, let's say it's 80 days. You know, if we take an average of those 84 and 76 days, what we're going to get is we're going to get 20 September plus 80. That's going to put us at 9 December 2022. So if we're going to guess when this death scourge is going to come out based on the cadence of the first three and the time in between each scourge releasing for the first time, we're looking at a first release date of 13 December 2022. So essentially that's going to come out, and then about a month later we're going to get our second run of the war scourge. And this ties into kind of what I was talking about like what are we doing next? What is our focus right now? Because we're kind of in a dead space in between scourges. People probably don't really know what to focus on, right? So what I'm planning on doing right now is we're probably going to be getting another run of pestilence or famine in between that time, or both in between that time. And the reason for that is because the last pestilence scourge came out in September. That was 36 days after the second run. If it follows a 36-day cadence, we can expect that, or we should have expected it about a week ago to start. We didn't get that because that was when the second run, second run of famine was going on. Get some water. I feel like I'm rambling here. It's a lot of information. So if we were going to get our fourth run of pestilence on that 36-day cadence, we would have gotten it a week ago. We did not, which means I would expect to get it in the near future, or since now the pestilence and famine should both be in rotation, and it's the first time we've had two scourges in this cadence rotation, they might be doing like an alternate, like, you know, every 36 days you get a wing of scourge, but it'll alternate every 36 days, or maybe they will do multiple scourges per month. I don't know yet. That's a complete unknown. We won't find out until we get our next round of pestilence or famine. But essentially, what we're looking at is in the next month and a half, I would expect another run of pestilence, and then I would start looking at the death scourge followed by the war scourge second run with a famine sprinkled in there somewhere. So if we're looking at prioritizing building for a scourge right now, I would make sure that you have your pestilence teams squared away and ready to go, so that next time it comes out, you can kill that event. And then I'll start looking at your death scourge. So you want to start looking at your Bionic Avengers and your Wakandans, which were just recently announced as the second Node 5 and 10 team for Death Scourge. We don't know any of the other node requirements, and we will not find out until probably about a week before it starts. So I would square away your Pestilence teams and then start looking at your Bionic Avengers and your Wakandans and start building that. After that, I would then go back to the War Scourge, look at where you fell short last time, and start building those teams, as well as start building out your actual War Horseman team, because you will be getting the Saga after that. Another thing to include is now that we have the Famine Saga, you need to now start looking at building your Famine team for the Saga, as well as building your Pestilence team for the Saga. This is a lot of shit. And that's not even counting squaring away your raid teams so that you're Doom ready if you're not Doom ready. This is not covering the Cosmic Crucible requirements or the teams or the new the Tangled Web characters like Spider Weaver and all of them. I want to say the Spider Weaver characters, but that is a character. So to kind of like TLDR all of this, what my personal goal is going to be building for the near future is going to be number one in the short term. I'm going to be building my Cosmic Crucible teams. I haven't made like a flowchart or kind of like a graphic for this yet, but the way I prioritize my account right now is number one, Arena is the most important meta for you to build, period. Arena gives you the biggest income of your cores daily, and those cores are absolutely necessary for you to keep up with these events free to play. I feel like I have accurately proven with this account, you do not need to spend money on this game, even if you're a mid to like low end game player, in order to unlock these characters as they come out. if you have a good amount of cores in reserves, which we got 5,000 cores in this last month, and honestly, if you spent them all on orbs or whatever else, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm still sitting right now on, let's see, where is it? BlueStacks. There we go. I'm still sitting right here on just under 6,000 cores. I'm good to go for whatever horrible event they throw our way for me to dump cores onto and keep up with. And I hope that you do the same thing. I really do. But getting back to it, my short term goal is building my Cosmic Crucible teams. My arena team is okay right now. I do not have Agatha unlocked, so my Pestilence team, Darkhold team is a little lacking. I have all the rest of the characters unlocked. I need to start building Wong, so that is definitely a short term priority for me as well. But on top of that, the reason Cosmic Crucible is my second most important game mode outside of arena is because that once you push into like the level 80, 85 area and you need to start building your characters for gear 16, that is one of the only places you can consistently farm gear for gear 16. And those gear 16 uniques are no fucking joke trying to find them. If you're not consistently pushing like Doom 2, 3, whatever, getting your teal orbs, it's a bitch. My main account right now is only clearing Doom 1, and I've had Morgan Le Fay at gear 15 for like 2 months now. And I've gotten maybe 4 or 5 of her unique pieces to take her to gear 16. I've got every other piece of gear crafted. I've got her at level 85. Yeah, I got her at level 85, ready to go, just waiting on those last like 10 pieces of unique gear, and they just don't show up. So you need to make sure you have enough currency stocked up to buy those pieces whenever they show up, because they are few and far between unless you're consistently clearing end-game content. So that is why Cosmic Crucible is important. With Cosmic Crucible being important, there's kind of two areas you need to look at with building for it. Number one is building the Cosmic Crucible specific teams. And that is because those teams are always going to be in the meta for Cosmic Crucible, regardless what the current kind of like season affixes are for it. What that means, you're looking at your Unlimited X-Men team, you're looking at Wakandans, you're looking at Tangled Web, and you're looking at, I think that's it, right? Off the top of my head. Wakandans, Unlimited X-Men, and Tangled Web. So my Wakandans are all gear 13 on this account. I'm going to be taking them to gear 14 in the near future, and that's going to serve twofold purposes because I will be able to use them for the Death Scourge, and I will also have them for Cosmic Crucible. I'm currently working on my Unlimited X-Men team because one, Horseman team, duh. Two, Cosmic Crucible team. That's important as well. Most of them are at gear 14, and I'm working on pushing Rogue up there as well right now. So that is my short term goal, is building for Cosmic Crucible so I can continue to like gear up those characters consistently. My midterm goal is going to be focusing on Dark Dimension 4, which I unlocked probably a few weeks ago now, but I really haven't put a whole lot of time and investment into it just because I've been focusing on other game modes. And I think in the last week, got enough characters up to gear 14 in order to start pushing for it. So I actually do need to start doing it's Dark Dimension 4. Whoops. Dark Dimension 3 is what I meant to say. I need to start pushing this daily and start building for this, but that will come naturally. I'm not looking at diverting resources to build specifically for it. I'm building the rest of my characters, and eventually I will fill out a full Dark Dimension roster doing that through my Horseman teams and my Scourge teams. Now, on top of that, I'm also looking at focusing on my raid teams because this account will be pushing Doom 1 very soon. As far as that goes, where are we with those characters? I believe I have them saved in my raid teams. I didn't do a whole lot of prep for this video. I just wanted to put this out there. So my web warriors, I've got 2 of them at gear 14 ready to go, and the other 3 are close to gear 14. I'm ready to take them up very soon. So bio will be squared away, good to go soon. Tech's got a little ways to go, but again, that's a midterm goal for me after my Cosmic Crucible teams. Mutants is way off. I'm literally just gonna stick in Unlimited X-Men for this and call it a day. My skill team is close. I need to get Sharon Carter up and then push the rest of them to gear 14 and they'll be ready to go. And then Mystic is I really need to focus up on that. I do have Morgan Le Fay, so she should be in this team somewhere. And this hasn't been updated in a hot minute, so I don't even know what my Mystic team looks like. But anyways, my long-term goal is going to be to continue to push up the rest of my Horseman teams. So my Gamma team is looking okay, but not great right now. I still need to build up Red Hulk, Abomination, and Brawn on this character or on this account. But too long. I lost you some of the translation. There's a big lull in kind of like crucial endgame content, more than likely for the next month or two outside of these monthly events. So continue working on those monthly events and those weekly milestones that are going to tie into the monthly events to unlock your characters as they come out. Short term, I'm building my Cosmic Crucible teams. Midterm is going to be Raid and Dark Dimension 4 teams. And then long term, Dark Dimension 3 teams. I said it again. Long term is going to be my Horseman teams. So I hope this kind of helps you guys maybe reprioritize what you're doing right now, or if you're feeling lost or don't know what to do, this kind of gives you an idea of what you can do right now. What I'm also going to be doing in the next weeks or so is all of my old farming videos I'm going to be redoing. All of the priority videos, whether it's building characters, farming out of certain stores, or campaign farming, whatever it is. There's a lot of characters since I put out those videos that have been added to free to play in order to build and farm, and I'm going to be updating those lists accordingly. So keep an eye out for those videos. If you guys enjoyed this one, please like the video, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you're kind of planning on doing the next month or two with your account. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. And until next time, guys, set your 2-hour blitz timers, because there's a blitz event going on right now, and I haven't talked about any of that, but it's too late for that. Keep pushing.